And welcome to iProtest, a special Monday edition of iProtest. This is Don Jeffries coming to you from just outside the swamp infested Washington, D.C. on a Monday this time instead of Friday. The reason for the different days because of a very, very special guest, my favorite politician of all. I wish she'd run for office again. I guess she's scared of what they might do to her. Anyhow, for selfish reasons, I'd love to have her in there again. Cynthia McKinney was a representative in Congress for too short a period of time, did some very courageous things back then. And, we certainly could use her voice in Washington now, but instead her voice is going to be on this podcast today. And she's going to let us know what's going on. Looking great. Cynthia, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for being patient with me. It's really difficult navigating the time zone issues. And then on top of the time zone issues, I was working like all day, every day. And it left no time at all for my activism, which is the definition of who I am.
Mhm.
And so, that was extremely unfulfilling. And now I'm at home for a minute, and I had a full day today, and I expect to have a kind of a full day tomorrow as well, doing interviews and that sort of thing, and just sort of getting back into the swing of things, so
Mhm.
that I want my own podcast as well once I
You should, yeah,
relocate here. Well, maybe before I
yeah,
relocate here permanently, then I'll get my podcast started.
that'd be great. I'm sure it'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. And
Remember
you have
me, if you're hard up for guests, I'd love to
you
come
come
on.
to mine, I come to yours. You come to
Yeah,
mine, I come to yours.
I would be there with bells on. You asked me. You don't ask me more than once, but that would be great. So, let's since you left and since you've been out of the country, I mean, obviously we're on the verge of World War III here.
Mm,
Donald Trump, who you like me, kind of or once kind of halfway liked. I was a Trump
yeah,
agnostic for a long time.
yeah.
What has happened to him in the last year? He really took such a dark turn, denying the Epstein files, and now he's got himself embroiled in Iran in this no-win situation, which in the U.S. the economy is going to tank. Gas prices have gone up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was asked a similar question. This was, I think it was a few months ago, and it was a Russian platform. And some people were saying, oh, no, Trump will never do that. And I just had to interject a little breath of reality into the conversation. I said, look, whatever his donors tell him to do, that's what he's going to do. If the donors want war, then there will be a war. You can't say there's nothing, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. And just like I predicted, yeah, the donors want this, and so he's going to give it to them. And at the end of the day, it's just like I have let me get it, and I will tell you it's a quote from uh, this is the quote. The person who's saying it is Tom Dawkins, who is the UK Prime Minister in a 2012 TV series called Secret State. And what does this Prime Minister say? You get to the top and you realize it's only the middle. So, that
Yeah.
is the reality, is that people run for these offices, and, it's the president of the United States, the most powerful man with his finger on the most powerful finger on the planet. And then you find out, well, it's actually somebody else that's got the energy to push the button. It ain't the president. And so you do all of this, and you find out, you think you're at the top, you find out that you're only the middle. And that's what we have to always remember.
Oh, absolutely. And what I'm amazed, and I've been down these rabbit holes forever. I was always awake as I was a teenager, and I was working with Mark Lane's Citizens Committee of Inquiry for the JFK assassination. So I was never a normie. I was talking
Yeah.
about how bad everything was back then, and nobody was listening. And now, of course, you got millions of people listening. But I never thought I would see the day when Zionist power, the term Zog, which used to be forbidden, Zionist occupied,
Hmm.
it's every Candace Owens uses it all the time, people like that. I mean, why is this all out in the open? Why are they letting us discuss something that look what happened to you in Congress? I mean, you said
Right.
Israel basically booted you out of Congress. What are your thoughts on how things have changed? Maybe you could run for Congress now. I don't know.
Um, well, I don't know who came up with this about the Overton window, but it's from a book, so I guess it was an author who came up with it. But um, the fact is that the window, it has opened. It's not all the way open because there's still some things that you can't say, but it's open. And I think it probably, maybe cell phones had the same effect on the population, the general population, as televisions in everyone's living room had with the Vietnam War. So you had the opportunity to see up close and personal what US soldiers were doing in Vietnam. And now people have the opportunity to see up close and personal what Israel is doing in Gaza. And as a result of that, I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
Right.
Now, once you see it, you might try to cover it up, but but you know that that hump is still there. And so that's where we are. And we weren't there when I was doing what I was doing when I was in Congress. We just were not there. We are there now, and you're right. If people like us need to look at the opportunity that this opened Overton window affords us, because maybe if enough of us get in there who aren't going to be corrupted or bought off, maybe if we could get a core group, then we could actually change things. Now the challenge is, of course, getting the core group elected, but at least if we can break through. I mean, the mind control is now so strong. It's Dem versus Republican, and I'm amazed at U.S. television because I mean, my mom is hooked on Fox News Channel, so maybe I'm judging,
Mhm.
Fox News Channel, but I can tell you that it's the most irrelevant news items are the ones that are prominently featured,
Sure.
and they're giving you the answers, so you don't have to think critically about what the questions are that ought to be answered, because they're feeding you answers, they're feeding you positions, they're not allowing room for discussion at all. And if this is what the other side of US television is like, then that explains why, even though the Overton window is open, we still haven't had any policy change. We've got to be able to affect the policy, because at the end of the day, judge me not by what I say, judge me by what I do. And we're still at war. We're still using depleted uranium munitions. People are still under nutritioned. I mean, the health scare industry is still mistreating
Yep.
the people of the US. I mean, everywhere you look, there's some neoliberalism is doing us in, and life expectancies are shorter than they're supposed to be
Yep.
in the United States because everything is a profit center for somebody else.
Yeah, great. And that's why you should run for office again. I mean, I don't know if you get that chance, but you're saying all the right things. And what you're saying, some of those things Trump was saying, not exactly, because Trump was coming
Yes.
just from the right. But some of the stuff he said, bring the troops home. They're in 150 countries around the world, build the infrastructure. We haven't touched it for 60 years. It's crumbling around it.
Yes.
Terrible trade deals, obviously open borders, and but what you look back and see, he did nothing. Nothing really was accomplished, and now he's taken this dark path where he's full born neo. Somebody said they said it to me today. I don't know if it's true or something that he made a comment today that he's banishing anyone from MAGA, whatever that is now, who
Yeah.
doesn't endorse Mark Levin. I mean, this is the worst.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
MAGA is now. I mean, it's so disillusioning, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, MAGA is not Trump. And so that's what MAGA people have to come to grips with is that Trump might have taken you to the dance, but he's proved to be a lousy dance partner. So you got to find somebody else. You got to go home with somebody else.
That's a perfect way to put it too. That's exactly right. But so here but I find it fascinating because for people that don't know, I'm pretty sure people that know about you know, I mean, the way you questioned Donald Rumsfeld back in the day. And I know from my personal, as a JFK assassination guy forever, you
Yes.
were the first public official I know of that ever came to any of those JFK conferences. I
Yes.
never heard
Yes.
any
Yes.
before that. So, I mean, I'm sure they had their eye on you. And I was amazed at how you got into Congress. But I mean, do you think they just thought, okay, she's just going to be like the rest of the Black Caucus, and
Yeah. Well,
we'll get her to
actually,
cry. Yeah.
well, first of all, nobody thought I was going to win. On election
Hmm.
night, the media were at the other headquarters. They weren't at mine. Because nobody thought I was going to win. And
Yeah.
then, as the numbers came in and it was clear that I was ahead, then all the media started coming. But, it was like, okay. And then there were inducements along the way to make sure I played ball. And unfortunately for me, I didn't. And as a result of that, I mean, if I had gone to Las Vegas, hung out with the guys when they go to Las Vegas and they play poker, and if I had, just done the social thing, been in ladies' gym, in done those things instead of reading the bills, then I would probably still be there. But the content of the legislation was so abhorrent, and it was like, okay, so I call up the House Armed Services Committee, and I called the staff and I say, hey, I want you to go through the bill with me. Are you sure you want to do that? Well, I got to vote on the bill, so I need you to take me through the bill.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this woman? And it's just like I went there, I was elected to work, and I have a work ethic. And so I worked. And I got into trouble because I worked.
Oh, you sure? And what did you think when because I remember you saying that you refused to sign something for Israel. So basically, you refused to swear allegiance to Israel. And I don't know if that was a way of saying you refused APAC or whatever, but what did you think of Thomas Massey, who's my favorite congressman now, when he had that interview with Tucker Carlson last year where he said he kicked APAC out of his office and his wife died mysteriously the next week, and they still haven't said why. I don't know if you saw that interview. It's incredible though, but I thought of you when he did that because it seemed to me he was playing with the same kind of dynamite. Did you see that interview? Cynthia, you're frozen up. Why does that not surprise me? Jeez. Cynthia, are you there? Let me take you out and put you back in here. Hold on. I'm trying to take it out. Cynthia? Oh, now she's gone. Oh. Well, guys, and those who watch I protest are used to this, right? Eight pack. It's gonna hopefully she'll be back. Oh geez. Unbelievable. This is really, this really does get irritating. I got to tell you, it makes it so. I mean, you don't see this happen on Fox News or CNN much. And I realize I'm working with inferior resources, but come on, this is ridiculous. So good to see lots of people in the chat. RB Ham says the timing for that is remarkable. Wasn't it? Well, I'm glad maybe somebody's paying attention to me out here. Hopefully, I don't have Cynthia's phone number, so hopefully she'll get back in here. I don't believe that. Let's see if she comes back here. Hopefully. Okay. Oh, I don't see her yet. She just got to click and come back in. What a coincidence is right, Mark Michael. All right, I can try. I don't. I'm going to try to. Guys, I'm by myself, so I hate to do this because I'm wasting, your airtime. So chat amongst yourselves for a minute. I gotta try to email her because I don't have her cell phone. I can't text her. Uh, let's see here. Where is it? Still don't see her. Okay. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'll be right there, guys. I have to move over here. And she's still not there. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I apologize. If only I had a commercial to go to. Let's see if she can do it. I hope she can figure it out. Okay. Unless something happened to her connection completely, she's back in the US, so maybe she's caught in these geoengineering storms that they were scaring us with all day. Warby says we will hold on for the great sense of beginning. Yeah, me too. I mean, oh God, this is, she's very hard to get. And then, they got to play these games. And again, maybe I sound paranoid, but I don't know. What am I supposed to think? And that kind of stuff. It literally was right in the middle. It was, there she is. Okay. Cynthia, they
Yeah,
didn't like me talking about APAC, I guess. Jeez,
I
took you
guess
right
not.
out.
I guess not. Who owns StreamYard? We know Zoom is owned by the Israelis, but I don't know about StreamYard.
All I
But
know is my
that's
show, my show
they,
has this stuff happen a lot. But yeah, I don't. Did you see that
oh,
Massey
okay.
interview?
Yeah. But see, when you put the money, then you control everything. So, we can search around and try to scratch out think, at least when I was in that part of the world, I could rest assured that everything was resistance. I didn't wear any name brand clothing. I didn't do anything, blah, 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 nothing like that. Everything was local, and, the tailor made everything. The fabric was locally made. And sort of the way it should be. And but now, if I come back here, then, I have to make sure I don't get into that rat race again.
Well,
Buying
and it's
things
hard
that
to buy
I don't
American
need.
when they don't have any factories here. Trump did it ass backwards. You're supposed to put the tariffs on after you bring back competition domestically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
see
we
that?
haven't brought any, it's I don't, I don't he has a plan, but I've only seen corruption. What I said, if I looked at it started out with Aristide in Haiti. And if you recall, the United States government, along with Canadian government, they kidnapped Aristide, put him on a plane, him and his wife, put them on a plane. They didn't know where they were going. They didn't know where they were going to end up. And but the people in Haiti, they fought, they fought, they fought, they fought, they fought. And we members of Congress, and we were freshmen at the time, we told Bill Clinton, you got to bring Aristide back. You got to bring Aristide back. So surely enough, Aristide, who started out as liberation theologist priest, who became the president of a country, well, he uh, came back and he was different. And so I said, you know what? Father Aristide has come back as Harry Steed.
Yeah.
And I
Well, we're still
said, at that point, I said, you know what? You take the charismatic leader, the transformational leader, because Jean-Bertrand Aristide would definitely qualify as charismatic and would also qualify as transformational. When that transformational leader comes back, is that transformational leader still transformational? That's a good research question.
Mhm.
Um, from my observations, they're not. So I knew that when Trump came back, I said, Trump will come back as the rump. He's the rump. He ain't Trump no more. He's not even pretending to be the Rust
No,
Belt.
he's not doing any throwing any red meat to anybody, any rhetoric or anything. But well, we're still doing that. Look what we did. I mean, just look at what's happened in the last year. He kidnapped Maduro. Oh, I think you froze up again. You froze up again, Cynthia. Jeez, this gets old. Hold on, Cynthia, are you there? Try bringing it. It's the same thing. Cynthia, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, folks. I hope you probably can sense my frustration. I really get tired of this because I don't think it's anything on my end. It's something is messing this up. And certainly with somebody like Cynthia McKinney, who has such important things to say and is a big guest, and she's gone. We'll have to wait and hope she gets back. We'll see. Weren't talking about APAC at that time either. I mean, she could just have an unstable connection. You saw with me a couple weeks ago with Chuck O'Celli. We just had to let him go. He had a bad connection, but I don't think anybody was cutting us off. Cynthia Kenny is what it is. But yeah, well, I mean, that's why I'm not going to let them win, Mark Michael. I've joked about that ever since I've had. Okay, 'cause she got back fast this time.
Yeah.
I told you they play games with this, man. They missed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So even the Overton window has opened a little bit. They're not going to allow us to have freedom of speech and freedom of thought. It's not going to be easy for us.
No, exactly. And what you mentioned about capturing and kidnapping the guy from Haiti. We did that with Marcos in the Philippines, and we did it just recently with Maduro. I mean, just
That's
everything
right.
Trump has done last month. I mean, it's amazing to me. And now he's taken this step. But I wanted to ask you when we got cut off the first time, so we'll probably get cut off again. If you saw that interview with Massey by Tucker Carlson when he talked about APAC and everybody has an APAC handler but him and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. Those two are
Yeah.
gone. And Randy Fine, if you've seen the most disgusting congressman I've ever seen, who he's got to be a
Yes, he
citizen of
is.
he wrote when MTG resigned for unknown reasons. He said, "2 down, 1 to go," and Massey's the one to do it.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yep.
Yeah,
I
he's a
just
piece
wanted.
of work. And Rick Wiles did run against him. And I think Rick Wiles really put his heart and soul into that campaign. And then he came up short. And it just makes you wonder if the people of the US don't deserve I mean, we deserve the government we have if we can't put good people into
Yeah,
office. And I mean, you can say, okay, the government doesn't represent, these representatives don't represent me. You can say that. But when you have the opportunity to elect someone who is different, who will represent you, and then you still don't press that right button, there's something
yeah,
wrong with the people.
yeah. There is. I mean, if we better hope there's widespread voting fraud because I mean, Lindsey Graham's probably going to be elected again. This guy, he's openly. You hear what he said? He says, "I'm going back to South Carolina and tell the people, send your sons and daughter to Iran." He actually said that. That's what he's
I
running on.
know.
I
I
mean,
didn't know that he said that, but I'm absolutely not surprised that he said it.
well, we know he
Absolutely.
believes it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing. But so for these people to continue to be voted back in, but I Michael Rechtenwald is a friend of mine. He was on the show last week, and he started I always forget the name of it. He started an anti-Zionist
Yeah, it's
political
called
committee.
ASPAC. I had a very negative experience with them, but
Oh,
uh,
really?
yeah, I had a negative experience with them. So I hope
Oh, I forget.
they are able to do what they say they will do, because
Oh,
we
yeah,
need some balance. But
yeah.
yeah, but
Because I figured you would be perfect because it's. I mean that's what I think is happening is the left right paradigm is a little fed. You see Massey and Ro Khanna that have formed an
yeah,
alliance, and even the squad. I mean, that's nice to see. This is not left right. Right now, it should be Zionist and anti-Zionist.
that's right. In fact, what I say is that I'm so far left that I'm now right. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, me
the
too.
it's all upside down, and we take advantage of that if we have open minds, and reach people wherever they are, because there is some area of commonality, no matter who you are, where you are. Um, we all can see that this is a train wreck waiting to happen, and we need to either get control of the engine, or else we're going to be thrown off the tracks.
Yeah, well, it's just amazing because when you've lived in the kind of America we lived in, I mean, just the kind of country we lived, whatever, regardless of obviously it was corrupt and had problems and everything, but at least there was competence. It was the trains ran on time.
Yeah,
Now we have, and that's why I'm not surprised. I don't know what's happening in Iran because you hear so many stories. Iran's winning, and they've bombed all our military bases. Is Netanyahu dead? Is his brother dead? I mean, who knows? We don't know
yeah.
anything because we can't trust him. But of course, our government says, we're obliterating them. It's the greatest victory ever. But how do you trust anything like that? And when you're watching it, will we even know? Because let's say if Netanyahu was killed by the Iranians, I don't think our government would admit it. I don't think they would.
No, they wouldn't. They're patent liars, and so they would never. They'll do everything to hide that, because that shows a vulnerability and a weakness that they don't want Iran to have. So we'll never know the reality of that, and when they do expose it, it'll be because he had a stroke or something. He died from
Yeah.
COVID or some
Yeah,
other lie.
exactly. Yeah, no, they're never gonna admit they could, and that's the thing. We've dug our feet in so deeply, and you have this guy, Hegseth, who I did not know this guy was the piece of work he is. I mean, this guy he's worse than John Bolton, I think. I don't know how you could be, but I think he is. I mean, wait, so
Well,
you're watching,
yeah, and
you
these people don't have much upstairs either, because you get somebody like Hexeth, and he's sitting there and he's challenging brings in every general from wherever they might happen to be on the planet, brings them in, and then gives them a lecture about physical fitness. I mean, yeah, we need that, of course, and I need
mm,
that as well. However, you would think that they'd be talking about military fitness,
yeah,
readiness
yeah,
fitness, weaponry fitness. I mean, there's so many things. And it's just that guy is just not all. He's a piece of work, like you say. But everybody that Trump finds is a piece of work, and that's because they have to go through the Israel First gauntlet, and if they can survive that, then they're suitable for serving the people of the U.S. So that means that we always get second best or not best at all.
yeah, not best at all. More like it, but I mean, I love the fact. I mean, RFK Jr. I'm a Kennedy fanboy still, and he's got so many. He's been a disappointment in large ways, but I when I was at the Turning the Tide conference, the 9/11 conference in Washington last September that Richard Gage gave, and I got to meet Dennis
Mhm.
Kucinich finally, one of my heroes, and
Yeah.
I was so impressed with the fact that Kucinich gave a speech and talked. He was so anti-Zionist, so critical of Israel, and I thought to myself, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. named Kucinich as his first campaign manager for president. Now, how, he can't possibly believe the nonsense he's spouting about Israel, and he's got Rabbi Shmuley handling him and all that.
Yeah.
He has to be because why would he name Kucinich if that was the case? So, what are your thoughts on
But
RFK Jr.?
you have to remember, Kucinich was never there.
Mm,
Kucinich never made that articulation
oh, he
because
didn't. Okay.
he had Sean Penn around him. He had all these, so
Hmm.
he was playing a different game on a different field. But
Okay.
now Kucinich is free where he was never free before. And that's why he was able to make the statements that he made, but then um, you know, uh, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. couldn't follow there.
No, he couldn't. That you mentioned make the health movement. I mean that I said if he could just get in there, I still don't know what he's actually done because he's talked about. But you had Trump recently again protected glyphosate, which RFK Jr.
Yeah.
has legislated against forever. And how I don't understand how he sits there and but I guess he knows if he says anything against it, Trump will fire him.
He can't I'm not going to say he can't say because I said,
Mm,
but you have to suffer the consequences and accept those consequences of when you do say. And some people are, just being there is more important than making a difference. Now, I have to say though that I've come home. This is the first time. This is the longest I've been in the U.S. for quite a while, and I look at U.S. television, and I can't find a big pharma TV ad. So now what I see ads for wellness companies,
mhm,
whole food companies.
mm,
So there's a lot more advertising space that has been freed up as a result of that one thing, and I think that is so healthy because it was just unhealthy, the amount of big pharma ads that were on the television. So that's one positive thing. At least people aren't going in and saying, "Give me that Similac tab or whatever."
mhm.
I want that tablet over there because I
Yeah,
saw it on television.
yeah.
Maybe
No, well, he's just as I mean, because again, he said so many great things, and he did take these people to court for so many years. So I was really excited about it. And Tulsi Gabbard, I've loved her. I got to meet her at a campaign event a few years ago, and she just, I mean, she can't possibly be on board with this Iran thing. I don't, but I mean, again, I guess they don't want to be fired. I don't know.
they don't want to be fired. So it's like this is what I read an article. Oh, it was such a long time ago. I think it was Kearns Goodwin.
Oh, Doris
Is her
Kearns
name
Goodwin, yeah,
Elizabeth?
yeah.
Yeah, I think she wrote an article about the best people in politics were the ones who always kept one foot outside the door.
Know what she said?
And so I've sort of compared myself to that column because my dad told me, he said, "Cynthia, you'll never be an insider. So don't think you're an insider. Just because you just got elected to this position doesn't mean you're an
Hmm.
insider."
Hmm.
And so I had somebody to keep my feet on the ground. But it's really easy to trick yourself into thinking because you've got the world's most powerful people coming to you asking you for favors. And that can elevate somebody's ego like like you never believe. And so you've got these people coming asking favors for you That's a very special place to be. And all of a sudden, you can become so divorced from reality that being there is way more important than it ought to be, because the values that get you there no longer factor into your being there. Now you got to become somebody else in order to stay there. And that's what people do. That's why Trump is the rump. That's why Aristide became Haristide, because this is that X factor that goes inside this corrupt political system that changes people.
Yeah, well, it certainly seems to change everyone. I mean, like I said, somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I still don't know why she resigned. And of course, she was criticized because she resigned like literally the day after her she'd be eligible for a pension, which wasn't a
Yeah,
good look. And I don't know. I mean, I want to like her, but it's hard to trust any of these guys. But I, but I'm wondering, like when you were in Congress and I imagine I don't know how often the Black Caucus caucuses together or whatever, but did you when you started making enemies, I mean, you
yeah,
wouldn't become betrothed to Israel like, they all are.
yeah.
Was there anyone that stood with you? I mean, especially in the Black Caucus, did they all just kind of turn their backs on you?
Oh no, the Black Caucus is one of the worst, because
Mm,
they have a constituency that is in agreement with, you put any kind of human rights issue, civil rights issue, human dignity issue, and the black community is going to be there, whether it's domestic or international. They're going to be
right.
there. But the Black Caucus is not there. And in fact, when I went there and Ron Dellums was there, Ron Dellums showed
Yes.
me how can I say, he was the epitome of a legislator, because he was the chairman if the Democrats were in the majority, or the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. And so he would manage the Pentagon bill, right? But he always opposed the Pentagon bill. It was his bill because it came from his committee, had his name on it, but he opposed it. And he always offered amendments that reflected his constituents as well as his own personal values. Now, that to me is the highest level of legislating, because you have a piece of legislation, it's flawed in many different respects. You have your legislative responsibilities, but you also have responsibilities to your own values. And Ron Dellums did that every time he argued that bill. The problem, though, is that he couldn't get the Black Caucus to support him, because they were
Mm.
too busy taking Lockheed Martin money.
And what about Conyers, John Conyers? He was there forever.
Conyers was there as well, and Conyers was, all of them. Uh, Conyers, I don't know what happened to Conyers. Conyers got married, and things just sort of didn't go right for him. And who do I think will be candidates in the next? Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I know who I won't be supporting.
Mm.
Um, but who is actually going to run? Well, you can. JD Vance is so unattractive to me, and I don't mean it like Trump judges men by the way they look, right?
Right,
Of
right,
course,
right,
we know he judges women by the way they look, but I never
right.
heard a man telling, oh, he's good, he's good looking. But that's what Trump does. And
Mhm.
so I can't see JD Vance. I can't see that. So I suspect that there will be some challenge, JD Vance. Um,
Well,
I don't think he's earned. I don't think he's even earned. Trump just named him anti-fraud task force, but it'll be to end up being like Doge. Too many
Yeah, what happened? Yeah,
tools.
What I was so excited about Doge. That was such a great. It's so great those disclosures, and it just went away. And now the government says they don't exist. I mean, they
That's
didn't do a
right.
single thing with all the fraud they discovered. It's ridiculous.
That's right. That's right.
And that was just on one, USAID. Imagine if Trump talked about auditing the Pentagon next.
Right.
Never. In fact, he gave it $1 trillion
No,
budget.
that'll never happen because then they'll have to find out where that uranium that got lost. They
Yeah,
have to track that down too.
yeah.
And
And of
we
course,
all
that
suspect
we.
it went to Tel Aviv. So
Well, what did you question Donald Rumsfeld about? Wasn't it missing 2 trillion? Was
2.3
missing?
trillion. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So where'd it go?
that's right. That's
Doge
right.
would
That's
that
right.
would pay for a lot of stuff, but yeah,
That would pay for a lot of stuff. That's right. So we've got, oh my gosh, it's just I don't know. It's just it's like quicksand actually. Washington D.C. has become quicksand and people get trapped in it without oh look at that. Oh look at that. Oh my gosh. I did my graduate studies and in Boston. It was the farthest north I had ever been in my life. I'm a southern girl.
Mhm,
And the first time it snowed, we got, I mean, it covered the my car. It
mm,
covered the whole car. All the body of the car was covered
mm,
in snow. So it must have been 5 or 6 feet of snow.
mm,
And so now they say Atlanta's gonna get some snow, right? So I'm looking out the
mm.
window and whoa, uh,
It's not.
but our snow just comes down as snow and then
Yeah, it melts
it's
there, yeah. Well, what do you think? I mean, I think they're geoengineering this weather. What do you think? We have way too weather did not used to be this exciting. Now it's always something, you know? Nobody cared that much about the weather.
yeah, because look, we had storms this morning. I woke up to storms. I had to make a phone call overseas, so I was up at 1 o'clock this morning, and so I woke up to storm, and now it's like, I mean, you couldn't fairly call this snow, but it's a little thick rain.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah, but here's the other thing. So they they've given us this lie about 100% anthropogenic climate change, which used to be global warming. And so they've given us that, but you're not allowed to look at earth cycles and you're not allowed to look at sun cycles, but it's 100% anthropogenic. And then I read that first paper, and I'm going to tell you that first IPCC paper, uh, that paper, the references were all to each other.
mhm,
The footnotes were all to each other. I said, I can't footnote myself.
mhm,
I mean, in a whole research paper, I have to footnote somebody else.
mhm, mhm. So
Oh my
long were
gosh.
you in how long were you in Congress for?
12 years.
Okay, you were there longer than I thought. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, yeah,
you've
I
met
was
all
there
the
for
guys,
12
but
years.
it's
So
so
that
Trump
seems to
didn't.
be my limit. So 12 years in Bangladesh, 12 years in Congress. So
Yeah.
I don't know where my next stop is going to be, but it'll
Well,
probably
when you
be
do all
another
this,
12 years.
you're always traveling, and I was impressed when you were in France. You said that you drove across the whole country and you didn't see a single pothole. That's a first world country.
Yes,
We can't drive a block here without seeing a pothole.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So we drove all the way from Italy to Paris. I mean, at least they've got we drove from Torino in Italy to Paris, and yeah. So I'm looking at Atlanta, And I have to say that it is the areas that I visited seem to be better than what it used to be, except when you go downtown, that's where the homeless are. And the
Mhm.
homeless are underneath the bridges, underneath the expressways. And it's, I mean, it's a sin to treat people in that way. And if there's a mental illness that is involved here, then that should be treated. If there's a financial emergency that is involved here, then there should be a safety net so that people can get the help that they need, and people can get, um, at least to tide them over to the next till they can get on their feet again. Um, and it's the amount of homelessness
It's
the worst
shocking.
thing I can think about is a sin,
Oh, it's shocking, and
because
you didn't used to see it. The homelessness really wasn't an issue that I remember until, like, in the Reagan years. You had that guy Mitch,
right,
he ended up killing himself, but Mitch, he was the activist and the homeless, and you had the DC officials sleeping on grates with him as, like, a political show, but
yeah,
nothing happened. He ended up, killing himself, and, Reagan closed all the mental health centers, all the hospitals,
that's right,
and they never
that's
opened
right,
them again.
that's right, and they never opened them again. So there's so much that's wrong. Our entire society has been corrupted, and you have to go back, I think, to the neoliberal ideology, because there you basically don't have any government responsibility for its citizens. There it's just everything becomes a profit center. Your illness becomes a profit center. Your disease becomes a profit center. Your weather becomes a profit center. Your body becomes a profit center. And somebody else's, not yours though. And it's just they have you talk about monetizing. So they've monetized every aspect of our lives, to the extent that we own nothing. We already don't own anything. We own nothing. And I hope we're not happy.
They've killed the hope of. I mean, I'm still a licensed realtor. I've been for many years. I just on the side now, but there's homeownership is a dream for anybody but the upper crust, or BlackRock, or
Yeah,
whoever's buying all this stuff up, rental properties. But that was the foundation of the middle class, and
that's
you can't
right.
afford apartments now. I mean, and it's the crux is they're not paying people enough for their
They're not
jobs.
paying people Enough. That's right. That's
And that's
right.
and Bernie Sanders kinda nibbles around the edges at it, but that's what I would be talking about all the time. People aren't
Yeah,
being paid enough.
but you see, when the moment Bernie Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton, that showed me that Bernie Sanders
Exactly, of
isn't who I
course.
think he is, right?
And
Or
he
he's not
didn't
who I hope
protest
he is.
you got the emails from the DNC talking that ended up with Seth Rich being killed, that talked about, "Hey, we're gonna steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders," and he not only didn't protest it, he endorsed the Russia stuff. It's
Yeah,
like, "What?"
yeah.
Yeah, so it's terrible stuff, but what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is, I usually open this up to the audience where
Oh,
I
okay.
put a link out there and they can jump into the chat, and, sometimes we see video of them, sometimes, just audio, but I know that it's gotta be people that would like to talk with you. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna just put the link there now, and, we'll see if, so anybody, if you guys wanna talk to the great Cynthia McKinney, don't get much chance to do that. I'm putting the link out in the chat now, so you can just hop right in. You know the drill, and I'm sure she'd love to field your questions because she's a natural politician after all. And
No, 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 no.
yes,
But that question, going back to the question that we did get about who the nominees are going to be. It would be really interesting if we could do some kind of fusion party, like you were mentioning, Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna. First of all,
Yes.
I would love to see Thomas Massey on a ticket. I'd love
Yes.
to see him running, and I wouldn't be offended if I wouldn't be offended if it were Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I wouldn't be
Right.
offended at all.
Sure.
So or if we did, and really, then if we did something like that, then we should have somebody from the Green Party. Although the Green Parties, the European Green Parties have completely sold out on the issue of war. Um,
Mm.
but we'd have somebody from the Green Party. We could have somebody from the Libertarian Party. So we could have some independents in the cabinet and actually have a government of national unity. That's
Well,
what
that,
we could have, should
we
have
would,
actually.
and that's why when Trump named RFK Jr., I thought it was a that had a chance maybe to bring something together because Trump, he was a Democrat for a long time. Tulsi
Yeah,
Gabbard was too. So
yeah,
and they're still the best thing about his administration, but you just don't see that very often. And yeah, I would love to see Massey. Massey would be great, and
yeah,
he
yeah.
hasn't backed down at all. He's still very much, and that's what I find. And you must imagine what it would be like to be in Congress now, because the whole I don't like much about the Democrats at all, but on Israel, most of them are on the right track. Most of them. There's a few still.
Well, here's the thing: they're on the right track only because Trump is on the wrong track.
Yes, yes,
Because
because
as
Trump.
long
Yeah,
as their number one donor is Haim Saban and his number one issue is Israel, then that this is only posturing.
exactly.
Yeah, why did I want to look into MLK and Tupac? Because of course that it was Operation Lantern Spike that was the military intelligence that was involved in the surveillance of Martin Luther King Jr. and I believe the
Sure.
assassination of him as well. And so there were friends of mine who actually were roommates to Tupac, and they said that every month Tupac would get a visit from a white man in a suit. That's the way they put it to me.
Yeah.
And then we found out through further sort of investigation of other, they call them cubs, the children of the Black Panthers, that they also were surveilled and they were visited at their schools, they were visited everywhere. And then, of course, the Jewish Defense League was shaking Tupac down for money.
Mhm.
And Tupac had said that he was going to bring his 6 million fans to Washington, D.C., and finish what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had started with the Poor People's Campaign.
Yeah.
That's why you don't know who killed Tupac today. Just like we
Exactly.
don't know, we kind of know now.
Well,
But
and King, I've looked a lot into the Martin Luther King thing, almost as much as JFK. But I don't know if my friend John Barber, he
oh
used to,
yeah,
John Barber and
yeah,
William
I love
Pepper.
that guy. I need to
Oh,
get.
he's
We need to get together.
he's well. If you get together with John Barber, we're gonna have to have a bigger thing. Because John talks. He's 90. He's almost 93, and
Uh huh.
he never takes a breath. You got to really jump in to get a word in. He is amazing. He's like the Energizer Bunny. But
Yeah,
all the research I've done, I wasn't aware of what Bill Pepper did at one point, where he found witnesses in the hospital. I don't know if you've heard this or not, that they claimed, and they named the doctor, they claimed smothered King to death with a pillow in the hospital. Did you
yeah,
that he didn't
yeah,
die from the bullet? It's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I mean,
Actually, William Pepper, what a giant of a man, and I was
yeah,
so sorry to learn that
yeah.
he passed away because uh, during those later years when I was just about to leave the U.S., um, he explained the toll that his position took on his family, And that's got to be like one of the most hurtful things is when your whole family is getting death threats, and you got to move away because uh, your kids are bullied in school, and it's
Right.
just he
It's
was a
awful.
heck of a man. That's all I can say.
I'm going to
But,
bring RB. I got somebody who wants to come in the studio, but first of this, Ellen Corley, she's running for Congress. She's been on my show before from because she wants to know, could Cynthia McKinney come here and campaign with me? The Democratic primaries tomorrow. The
oh my
Green
gosh.
campaign.
So the primary is tomorrow. She's running as a green, I take it.
I thought Ellen, I'm not sure. Are you running as I thought she was running as I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought she
I
was
know
running as
she's
a
very
Democrat.
active on X because I just found out
Yeah.
that you can do chats or something on X, and
Yes, spaces. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I think I'll start doing all of that. I'm going to learn from everybody else so I can do the same thing and do
Oh,
my
you
little
could do here. We
podcasting.
got RB Ham. This is amazing Canadian. He's up in Canada. I'm on his show a lot. He comes on here, and he was part of the Canadian truckers convoy. Like
Oh,
and he
yeah,
and
those are heroes too.
the government fined him and you can see he's in his truck now. He calls from his truck, live from the
Oh,
road.
he's
RB
in his
Ham,
truck.
how you doing,
You
brother?
know what? That's my dream job, to be a
Wow.
trucker and be out on the interstate with the wide open spaces and just get on down the road. Now that's my dream right there.
Well, there you go,
Hey,
RB. Oh, Ellen Crowley is running as a Democrat, she says. Okay, RB, there
Oh,
you
she's
go.
running as a Democrat.
Democrat, yeah.
well, I consider this. How am I? Can you guys hear me? Am I coming in fine?
Yes,
Yes, we
yes.
hear you.
Well, Cynthia McKinney, you're one of my heroes after 9/11. You're one of the few people who stood up and had a backbone. I still remember you grilling Rumsfeld, and
Yes.
that was, I mean, I was when I first saw that, I stood up and I started clapping and cheering, even though I was the only person in the room when I watched it on. And you are fantastic. You're amazing. You're fearless. And if everybody was like you, we would have a much better world. I wanted to ask you a few questions, but I want to start out with this. Cynthia, could you possibly come on my podcast sometime along with Don? I think that would be great. And if Don could send me your contact info, that would be the greatest show ever. My podcast is called Beyond the Pale,
Yes,
and I got that,
Come on there a lot.
and I got that title from an interview that who was that old CNN guy? He died of a heart attack. Tim Russert was
Oh, yeah,
interviewing
yeah.
Dick Cheney. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim
Okay.
Russert was Tim Russert was interviewing Dick Cheney, and he mentioned something that there's a lot of people are asking questions that there's a lot of unanswered questions about 9/11, and a lot of people are saying that the government knew it was coming and stood down the Air Force and started mentioning things like that. And Dick Cheney interrupted and says, "Sorry, Mr. Russert, but that is beyond the pale." That's
I
so
didn't
that's
catch
where I
any
got
of
my
that.
title. That's where I got it
Yeah,
from.
yeah. So this all
RB,
get
can you
beyond
adjust the camera a
pale.
little bit? We're not seeing you, or you kind of, or I don't know if you can move it
Yeah,
or not.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm
good.
driving. So
Oh, okay, I thought you usually had. Okay, that's cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Cynthia. Good.
No,
That's
no, no.
perfect.
Go
anyway,
ahead.
so
Yeah, I'd be
anyways,
happy to do a beyond the pale, and then
yep.
we do. What's yours called, Don? What's your show called?
I protest. I protest.
I protest, and then mine is going to be True News 2. So we have True News 2, Beyond the Pale, and I protest.
And that's the other thing. Cynthia, do you have Rick Wiles' contact info? I've been trying to get him on my podcast, but I can never get in touch with him.
Oh, well, now they're doing the morning manna now. And
Uh-huh.
so they focused on the morning manna. And actually, that's where my name came from because, his 20 some odd years of journalism, those archives need to be saved because he was out there, literally when nobody else was out there, he was doing it. So,
Yeah, he's a
um,
great man.
yeah, True News too.
I,
That'll
I,
be
I,
me.
I, I would love to have Rick Wiles and Salim Mansour on to talk about the non-Irish, the thing we can't talk about. But anyway,
Well, let's see if we can
Concord.
get Rick Wiles. Let's see if we can.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
It'll be the three of us. Yeah.
that'd be great. And so I want to know, when 9/11 happened on that very day, when I was watching it, I said to myself, there's something wrong here. Steel frame buildings just don't fall in on their own footprints because airplanes hit them. So right from the moment it happened, I thought it was an inside job. I thought it was a false flag operation. I knew that the Air Force had been stood down on purpose. World Trade Center 7 falls down later in the day with nothing touching it. And the Pentagon, there was no plane that hit the Pentagon. You can't convince me otherwise. As I was watching on that day, CNN crew went to the Pentagon and said there was no plane that hit it.
That's
So
right.
obviously we were being lied to. On that very day, I knew 9/11 was a false flag operation, and I immediately went on Democratic Underground, where I was a blogger, and I said, this is our generation's Reichstag fire, and George W. Bush is our generation's Hitler, and the Patriot Act is going to be our generation's the enabling act that Hitler brought in after 1933 in the Reichstag fire. I was one of the very first people who was canceled off the internet because of what I was saying then.
Wow.
And I want to know if you think, as I did, when did you firmly believe that 9/11 was a false flag operation pinned on Muslims to justify a war of civilization to invade Muslim countries and take over their resources? When did it really dawn on you?
That day as well, because if you understand who has access to the U.S. government, it really is not the Muslims. And so they don't have the access that an operation like that would require. Plus, the who had the codes at Air Force One? Remember the Air Force One? Somebody had the codes and they were breaking into Air Force One. So there was too much stuff that was going on that just told me this is not right. So I formulated that question that never got asked. To this day, it still hasn't been answered. How can the people of the U.S. invest trillions of dollars in a military and in the intelligence infrastructure, and it failed 4 times on one day?
And then all the people that were in charge of that failure got promoted instead of disciplined.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is ask yourself the question: who benefits? Number 2, follow the money. And they did follow the money. They went to Harriman and Brown and all those put options that were put on United Airlines, and somebody made big bank off of it. And when it got to that point, they shut it down, the investigation, and they said that the reason they shut it down is because Al Qaeda wasn't being implicated, so we knew it was a false. It was a dead end because we couldn't pin it on Al Qaeda, so they just dropped the investigation.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, there was. If you have any kind of critical thinking skills, then you would recognize right away, hey, this isn't adding up. But
a lot like October 7th, of course, because along the Gaza perimeter there is the most surveilled fence line in all of history. Everybody in Gaza is surveilled 24/7, and you're trying to tell me they didn't know Hamas was about to make a surprise attack? And then they use paragliders. So where did Hamas learn to use these paragliders? Were they practicing in their tunnel? Were they practicing in their tunnels? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So October 7th was an inside job too. It was when that first Israeli official came out and said, October 7th is our 9/11. I said, there you go. It was their inside job. Their false flag. They justify what they're doing in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, everything.
They did it to the U.S. They did it to the U.K. They did it to Spain
and France.
So why wouldn't they do it to themselves?
Exactly. Exactly. They were just saving the best for last. And I did watch a lot. I did watch a lot of that. The footage that they put out said it was a Hamas attack. They're all wearing GoPro cameras. Oh, come on. Are you telling me that they're going to make sure they're having GoPro cameras on them? They did that on purpose. and then they edited it, stitched it together, all the parts that made it look bad. And every politician and journalist that they could get a hold on, they pulled it in the Israeli consulate or embassy, showed them a 30-minute cut of it and said, look how evil Hamas is. And the whole thing was a staged operation. And the only thing real about it was when they invoked the Hannibal Doctrine and killed 10,000 of their own people, blew up cars and stuff with Hellfire missiles and blamed Hamas for it. But they killed most of their own people by themselves. Yeah. Unbelievable that people fall for this shit over and over again.
I know.
And now
over and over again. That's the thing that amazes me. And that's why sometimes I wonder, I mean, you know, why should I spend my time defending people who are willfully ignorant? I mean,
I know what you mean.
You gotta assume responsibility for yourself. You gotta,
and it's such a hard thing for I don't know, 25, maybe actually even before 9/11, I was awake. I noticed chemtrails in 1998, 1999 when I was driving a truck through the prairies going, that's not right. The very first time I started noticing it. And then, of course, we know chemtrails are another military operation they're doing on us. And of course, it's barium and aluminum are the two main things that are spreading in the chemtrails. What does BAAL spell? Baal. Hey, there you go. I mean,
I hadn't even thought about that one. That's a good
one. I know. So I've been awake for so long, screaming into the abyss, and all I get is my family and friends telling me I'm a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist. And every time I'm proven right, they just go, well, I get back that fluoride stare, and it's always a coincidence. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Everything's a coincidence. So these people are lost. They're coincidence theorists, and they can't put two and two together. Because if they actually did sit back, use their critical thinking skills, put two and two together, their worldview falls apart. And the problem is a lot of my family and friends they're very well off. They're middle class. They own houses, and they're not suffering. And it's not until everybody starts suffering when people have nothing left to lose when they wake up. And I think that's what's happening.
Tell them about what happened because you were fined. You lost your pension. I mean, you were retaliated against.
So when the COVID tyranny first started, I knew it right away because I'd already watched, like I knew 9/11 was an inside job right away because I'd already read the Project for a New American Century documents. I'd already read it. I was ready for their new Pearl Harbor, right? Yeah. So when the COVID scam came out, I was already ready for it because I noticed the propaganda beforehand. They soften you up first with the SARS outbreak, then Zika virus. And then swine flu, and then H1N1. And then they had in 2010, Operation Lockstep. The Rockefeller Institute ran a simulation. In 2017, they had a Crimson Contagion operation the Pentagon did. And then in 2019, in August of 2019, they had the what was it called again? You can help me, Don. 2019, August, they came out with that simulation.
Dark Knight?
No,
that
it was
that was the round table. That was
201?
Event 201.
Yes, Event 201. So I watched Event 201 while they were doing it live, and I went, okay. So 2 months later, they start bringing out the scamdemic. They start in China, right? And they have all that propaganda videos of people dropping over in the streets saying, "Oh, they're all dying of this great disease." And they went over to Italy and they ran the scam there first. You know, they're propping people up. Then they brought it in New York. It was one hospital in New York, and the lady in New York who was in charge of that, her specialty was in simulations and running live exercises. She wasn't even a real doctor. Right. And so when it came out, I was ready for it. I started telling all my family and friends, don't fall for this, it's a scam, but they all fell right in line because their empathy was weaponized against them. You got to be a good person. Wear your mask. Be a good person. You got to care about grandma. Don't let granny die. And if anybody says anything other, they get turned on. They turn around and make you a villain. Oh, you want to kill your grandma. You just care about your personal freedoms. You don't care about the community and all this stuff. And again, I was ostracized and everything. I lost my job. At the time, I was a custodian at an elementary school. I saw the horrible things they were doing to those children, making them mask up, making them stay 6 feet apart when they went. But what was crazy was half the teachers in that school agreed with me because I was talking logic. But they were too scared to say anything because they didn't want to lose their jobs because they were being threatened to lose their job if they said anything. So the kindergarten teacher comes into my office and says, I think you're right. There's something really weird about this because a 6-year-old kid in kindergarten asked me, teacher, why can when I sit down to eat, why can I take off my mask? Does COVID know what I'm eating?
Exactly. Yeah. So
and I went, there you go.
You lost your pension, right? Too, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I lost my job, and then I had to take my pension out at a reduced rate.
Oh, okay.
So at a reduced rate, a really small reduced rate, and then I had to go back to driving a truck, which is what I'm doing. And because of my finances, because of all the fines I received, I got 7 tickets for $50,000. I can't get any loans. Yeah, they gave me tickets because I was doing rallies and speaking out about it in public, and I kept getting fined by the government doing what I was doing. So anyway, I can't get. So when I go to the bank, I can't get a loan because I have these fines hanging over my head. When it's income tax time, all my income tax, I can't get any money back from the government because they take it all for the fines. So if you want to help me out, you can go to www.givesendgo.com/RBHAM. Maybe I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description after.
Put it in the chat too, or put it in the chat, and I'm going to put I'm putting the link in here again for you guys. I'd like to see more of you jump in.
And then I went and ran for the People's Party of Canada here in Canada because they were the only party that was against the COVID mandates, and they supported the Freedom Convoy. The problem is that 80% of the people that supported Freedom Convoy and my People's Party of Canada, and by the way, here's my People's Party of Canada sweatshirt. There you go, PPC. There you go.
Oh, okay.
So I ran for office like you did, Cynthia, except I didn't win nothing because can't get enough normie Canadians to understand. But the old problem is a whole bunch of people, right wingers, because left becomes right becomes left, whatever. They supported what we were doing because they realized that being against the vaccine mandates and the mandates and the restrictions, the draconian regulations was horrible, and they supported that. But a lot of these people, now that pro-Palestinian protesters are getting their skulls cracked, they're all for that because they fall right back in a line into their tribalism. And a lot of them are born-again Christians who believe in the end times theology. And so now they're supporting Israel, even if they're committing a genocide, starting wars in Israel, Lebanon, whatever. They're right because God says, because if you bless Israel, if God blesses Israel, you're blessed. All that bullshit and stuff. I've lost.
Arby, can I stop you there? Because we got a couple more people coming in here. We got
Alrighty.
How you doing, Joseph? Thank you, Arby. I just want to give other people a chance. Joseph, what's going on?
Hi, Don. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello, Joseph.
I had a question for Cynthia. It was kind of an open-ended question, but I called to see if you had interesting stories, anecdotes from your visits to the Middle East, such as Gaza boat aid, Libya, Iraq. Any interesting stories you'd like to share? Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks, Joseph. Well, I did participate about maybe 4 years ago in Arba'in in Iraq. And I think you start in like Najaf and you end up Karbala, or I can't remember where I was exactly, but this is an annual event that happens in Islam, and people from all over the world go there. I think it's the number one attended sort of remembrance, even more than Mecca. So people go there and all the food is free, and it's just absolutely spectacular. and all of the old antiquities. I mean, half of the Bible is in a. I couldn't believe what they were, the places they were taking us. Well, there were about 14 of us in this group, and every one of us came back sick. You know why? Because they had used the depleted uranium munitions, and we were in the place where they had used those munitions,
Wow.
and we got sick. Every one of us got sick. So imagine we were only there for a few days. Imagine the people who are living there and the health effects that Iraq is now experiencing because of U.S. use of depleted uranium. That was one of the pieces of legislation that I had introduced, and one of the many reasons that I ended up outside of the country, because you just end up when you find out what the U.S. government is doing, you end up making a whole lot of enemies if you have any kind of conscience at all. And I see Ellen is here,
Yeah,
and
Ellen, how you
asked
doing,
about
Ellen Corley. She's our candidate.
yes,
Yes, hi. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes, hi. Yeah, Cynthia, I really am a big fan of yours, and have learned a lot from watching documentaries about you, American Blackout, and
yeah,
I saw that you knew John Judge, right? Did he work with
yes,
you too, right?
yes, yes.
The whole hidden history library, and I've got that here. I really wish. Are you going to be staying around long? You could come to Chicago and yeah, right, or, and, campaign.
I wish I were staying, because this is actually the first time that I've come that I really don't want to leave. So I'll be back. I'm going to, but you have to understand that I've been there since 2014, and even during the COVID years when I left there, my things were still there. And so now I've accumulated all that stuff. I got to get rid of it. I've got to put it on a container and see if I can get it to, over on this side of the planet. And so I've got a lot of just sort of nuts and bolts kind of things that I've got to put together. So it'll take me a little while, but yeah, I'll be back.
Good. Well, I was writing in there. You say you want to do a podcast, and
yes, that's right.
I wish there was a way that Donald, we could be co-hosts regularly with him, or syndicate better, because there's these technical challenges of everybody trying to start their own podcast, and
yes,
we've got to figure out how to work together. And
it's also, that's right.
This truthactionproject.org. This was originally the 9/11 Truth Group, and Don brought us on to talk about that, and he came on there once. But it's every Tuesday from 8 till 10 Eastern time, and they've got a website. So this is an extension of the 9/11 Truth Group, truthactionproject.org, and we're brainstorming about we bring on speakers, but how to get the government, Congress to open official hearings into 9/11, but also the Kennedy assassinations, COVID. And I think we're creating there's a lot of momentum. People are waking up, and, to get like around Iran-Contra and Epstein and Thomas Software, something I've been researching with, Bill Hamilton and the Danny Casolaro.
Well, what you guys need is a new church commission, but this time with some teeth in it, because remember the church commission, when they actually got to the real good meaty stuff, remember how the CIA guy, I forget it was Richard Helms or something at the time, said, well, we'll talk about that in committee. So they would turn all the cameras off, they go in back rooms, and they'd say, well, you can't ask this question, you can't ask that question. I mean, that's the problem, because everything's done in the dark. sunlight is the best disinfectant, and that's the only way that truth will out, only when it's allowed to be out.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
So
right.
few
But
people believe that in
I sort
Washington,
of
D.C.
like the idea of all of us having our individual podcast. So maybe we do that on one night, and then we have this joint podcast on another night. And I like that idea. That way
Well,
that we can, cross fertilize each other's ideas
Mhm.
and
great,
the
great,
audiences as well.
great idea. The only problem with me is I'm on the road from Sunday to Friday, and I do my podcast once a week on Saturday night.
Saturday. It's unbelievable. I said there's a guy that very courageous, and it's unbelievable how they're screwing him over like that. And he's having to do this and has the schedule he has. It's amazing he can produce what he does.
So
Considering
let me ask. I want to ask RB. Now, do you own that truck, or is that a truck that you lease, or how does that work? Because I'd love to be out on the road like that.
I work for a company called Randland Transport. I get paid by the mile. I get paid so much for drops and loads and unloads. And yeah, you might think it's fun and games until you do it, because it takes a heavy toll on you. It's hard on the body and the back, and you got to stay awake and drive 10, 11, 12 hours a day. Plus, when I'm a flat deck driver, so I load steel and lumber. So when I go to load steel, I have to get out of the truck, and even in minus 30, minus 40 degree weather, which is a lot what we had this winter, and I've got to load as the forklift loads the lumber or the steel. I either have to strap it down or chain it down, and you're out working in the cold, and you jump back into the truck. You drive to where you got to unload, you jump back out, you unload the stuff, you got to put all your straps and your chains away. And I'm 62 years old, and I'm falling apart, and it's not as much as fun as it used to be when I was younger. But it is a living. You make pretty good money. But I was just at this last. We're at the Manitoba Hydro loading some steel plate. My partner that was with me, we were both loading. He's 66 years old, and I said, "Why haven't you retired yet?" He says, "Our fucking government, are you kidding me? I can't afford to quit. My wife doesn't have an income, and I'm going to have to keep working till I die, because the government pension. I couldn't afford to live on the government pension."
Yeah.
Well, we know it's no better here, Cynthia. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
it's shameful that most people. But again, that's why it's so disappointing to see these foreign adventures when we have people at home. You have the homeless people you're talking about. You have pensions have been long eliminated, so most people are living on Social Security. It's inadequate, and then Medicare. I'm the only one talking about Medicare. Bernie Sanders says Medicare for all. Medicare is the worst deal in the world. You pay into it your entire life, and they give it back to you in increments and charge you now $200 a month to get it.
Yeah.
And then it only pays 80% coverage. So you have to get supplemental insurance.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that. I mean, you should, everything should be covered, but I want to get Mark in here. Mark's been waiting. Mark, you have a question for Cynthia?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good evening, Cynthia. Question. Were you the congressperson who was on, I don't know if it was the Hill or something. Were you the one who was interviewing Lois Lerner under oath? When she was saying how her job, like she was told to scrutinize political opponents. It was during the Tea Party movement, but I know you've been.
Well, I supported the Tea Party, but I don't remember that. No.
Oh yeah, because she under oath admitted that they politicized like the IRS and were going after political opponents.
Yeah, well, I know that because they did everybody around me.
Same.
In fact, one young lady who helped me in my campaign, it wasn't just the quote unquote right that they anybody who was a pain in the a thorn to them got it. And this lady, they went back 20 years. Now, they're not even supposed to do that, but they went back 20 years, fabricated a debt, and then pursued it until she was able to prove that they were wrong. But it was just harassment.
Exactly. I dealt with something Similar to that, my father's into politics in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey. Sandy hit. So I went
Mm-hmm.
to live with a brother in South Jersey. So I worked in Philly for like a month and a half, 2 jobs. And I filed taxes. I couldn't get those W-2s from Philadelphia. I figured like, oh, you get 4 years to refile. No big
Yeah.
deal. Well, they find it was like $3,400 I didn't claim. In 6 months, I got fined $16,000. I got a knock on my door. It was the mailman with a certified letter. And then he also had like a rubber band of literally like 100 warnings about it. When they delivered the certified letter, it was too late to file a hardship because of the whole
Wow.
Hurricane Sandy thing. So they
Yeah.
took they took my taxes for geez, like, and I was younger then. I was probably like 24. They took my taxes until like 4 years ago. It just kept going up, the fines. And when I called the IRS, the lady was really nice, but she was like, "Yeah, there's an indicator on your name." I was like, "Excuse me, what did you say?" She's like, "Oh no, I didn't say nothing." I was like, "No, no, what's an indicator?" "Oh no, no, you
Yeah.
misheard me. I misspoke." And then she was just like, "It's too late. Like today was the dead, or yesterday was the deadline to file the hardship." And I'm like, "Well, you know where I live. I got my certified letter, but you sent
Yeah.
the mail to my brother who's in Korea right now in the service. You sent it to him in North Carolina. It's like you did everything you could to make sure I would not get a
Right.
warning to file the
Wow.
hardship." So it was like
It
a
was like
real
Randy Weaver.
weaponization.
Remember they gave Randy Weaver the wrong court date, and then and got him
Yeah, and like
showing up on something. Yeah.
they did everything they could, I feel, to just like I have the same name as my father. I don't
Mm-hmm.
use my last name in public because of it, because of all the BS I had to deal with in New Jersey. But like that's crippling to like middle, lower income people who are like paying the taxes, and then when it comes time to be like, oh, I
Yeah.
can recoup a little bit and start to build something. Devastating whenever when the federal
That's
government
right.
like
That's
targets
right.
you.
Change your last name. Change your last name to Silverstein and start going to a synagogue.
I wish.
Oh,
I
there you go.
wish. I
Yeah,
got a
you might.
Chabad Lubavitch Center in Florida. I got a
Yeah,
Chabad
you,
Lubavitch
There you
Center
you
go.
two
might get
blocks
Yeah.
some
away.
of
I
that
should join.
Federal Reserve money, some of that kickback money then. Oh yeah, get those
Oh, did you?
interest-free loans.
I got to mention this. Did you know up here in Canada, just a couple of weeks, the last week or two, 10 days, and they did this last time when Gaza first kicked off. A whole bunch of synagogues got shot at in the middle of the night, and nobody got hurt. And all the Zionists freaked out and said, "Oh, look at us, we're being oppressed again, together." And so the government gave this one synagogue $1 million or $10 million to increase their security. Hey,
Wow.
that's pretty good money if you can make it. So any churches out there, start shooting at them in the middle of the night. Claim that you're being persecuted, and you might get the government to give you $10 million for increase your security, and then you can grease a few palms in the parishioners there.
But now
It,
you
wa-
know
it,
the U.S. government pays for the security for all of the synagogues in the U.S.
Unbelievable.
They don't pay their own security.
where I
What?
am in
Unbelievable.
Florida,
I
where
never
I am
heard
in
that. We
Florida, they have.
the kids
Yeah, and
synagogues
you
have
know
security.
one of the byproducts of me actually reading the legislation was I found out that there's I think it's $30 million. It's a slush fund that's appropriated every year to the State Department. Any Jew anywhere on the planet who wants to relocate to Israel, the United States government will pay for their relocation.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
The
you
only
Yeah.
heard
thing you're
about
not
that?
allowed is a DNA test.
You heard
Yeah,
about that?
right.
You heard about that in Texas? What was it? I learned about it from the comedian Leonardo Joni, who I'd love to get her in the show. She's really bold, but she's very great. She talks a lot about politics, but she talks a lot about I call my code word for Jews is the non-Irish, Cynthia, because I got tired of saying it so much. It
Yeah.
sounds kinder and gentler. So the non-Irish is, but she's learned that, and we didn't. Now it's been exposed that not only are individual states giving aid to Israel, and individual counties. She objected to her county giving, I forget how many million to Israel. And what happened? What's the not Abbott, but the lieutenant governor there threatened her, for doing. Hey, look, you don't talk about this. It's like, well, how can we get to that point where localities are giving foreign aid to this one particular country?
They-
Look, every labor union is buying Israeli bonds. And so now these are the heart and soul of the US, the working class people of the US, and part of their union dues that ought to be fighting for better job opportunities for them and training programs for the rest of us that need the training programs, but they're buying Israeli bonds with it.
Wow.
It's Daniel Patrick of Texas. Thank you, Twisted Pistols in the chat room. Yeah, that's the guy. But
They're infiltrating the management of the unions or the IRS or the parties. That
Yes,
this is the problem, right? It's
that's right.
management
and it's we hate to harp on the same subject, but when you hear these things, how can you not say something about it? And I'm told,
Right.
well, you're being a hater. Wait a minute. Why? And this is what I say about I don't know. We have an epiphany, or Tucker Carlson's being sponsored and Candace Owens. I don't know, but they're saying stuff nobody's ever said before. Tucker Carlson, when he was, cleaning up the floor with Mike Huckabee and making him look like a fool, he actually said, why does Israel have a right to exist? He said, does Ireland have a right to exist? He said, does and Huckabee couldn't answer him. Why do
Yeah.
they have this special, just like they have a right to defend themselves, but Iran is not supposed to defend it? I mean,
Yeah.
makes no sense.
I just love once for somebody to come out and say Palestinian people have a right to defend themselves.
Yeah. They'll say, "Oh, correction, you meant to say Israelis."
Today's the anniversary. I'm going to have might have been 20 years or something like that. Where Rachel Corrie, American citizen, was bulldozed to death, was murdered in Israel. There was not a peep out of any American official. Nothing. She was literally bulldozed to death, trying to block them from bulldozing a house that they do all the time. Nothing. And it's unbelievable to me. They don't allow our ally to do that.
You know what? My time is up. I'm
All right.
sorry.
Okay, Cynthia.
No, I appreciate it. And Cynthia, it's been a joy. We'll stay on a little bit with them. But any closing thoughts? You want to give out any links?
No, we're gonna we'll do this again, and
I hope
especially
so.
once I come on this side of the planet, then we don't have to navigate those time zone issues and my work schedule and blah 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 blah. So yeah, you just count me in. I'm all there, 100%.
You have an email?
I'm honored to have you on. I'll get in touch with you. I'm going to give you RB's contact, RB your contact,
Yeah.
and
Can
Ellen,
I get your email?
Yeah,
so
I'll share her contact with.
Yes.
There's somebody. Hi, in the background.
my
Thank you
mother.
so much, Cynthia McKinney, one of the
Yes.
all-time great Americans. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
I love you, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you.
Love you.
all
Take care.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Thanks for coming on. Okay, that was a thrill, wasn't it? Okay, and
What a great show, Don. You hooked on yourself. This is the best.
See,
Thank you so much.
When from the first time, there's some of these people, I'm always trying to get people that have names, because we're trying to grow, right? And she was one of those that was very receptive right from the beginning, and not all, very few are. Susan Olsen that I have on a lot, Cindy Brady from Brady. She's another one. Just sometimes you click with people. I clicked with her right away.
She's got no artifice to her.
No.
She's all about speaking. She's all about speaking the truth, and that is wonderful.
People like her. She's the people. That's why I think she could do what she did in Congress. So I worked with a lot of people like her, so she has an appreciation, I think, for. She talked about the homeless and things like that. She has an appreciation for the things that average people go through. So I'm sure she felt when RB was talking and Mark was talking about their situations because, she probably knows people like that. A lot of people in Congress don't know people like that. I mean, I like what Tucker
Yeah.
Carlson's saying, but Tucker's
I,
never
I,
been
I,
in his life, I'm sure.
when I
He's getting persecuted
when
now. Mhm.
yeah, when I do have Cynthia back on, I will also want to mention that time when she was in Congress, and for some reason she was going up to her office one day, and the Capitol cops stopped her and made her show ID, and she was going, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
Okay, and so they made a big deal out of it, and she got really upset. She got righteously upset. Held a press conference, and said, "This is ridiculous." And she said they're only doing this because I'm black or whatever. I tried emailing her through her X or Twitter or whatever, or Facebook at the time, saying, "Don't. They're doing this on purpose to make you do this, because they're going to weaponize this and use it against her." I don't think I was big enough for her to get the note at the time. And that very night, Jon Stewart had on as one of his segments her holding this press conference. They edited it to make her look crazy. And Jon Stewart called Cynthia McKinney a crazy wackadoodle that night on national TV.
Wow.
Well, John's
Dragging her-
Leibowitz, and his father's a head
Yeah.
big shot on the New York Stock Exchange, and he also tried to ridicule the Iranians, and it
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
play. It's not. You can't get humor out of it. It's stupid. You can't. This is
Oh.
same thing with Bill Maher. And again,
Oh, fuck that guy. I hate him.
Well, my friend Naomi Wolf is a friend of mine. She wrote a foreword to one of my books, Survival of the Richest. And she's gone full blown Zionist. I'm sure she probably doesn't think I'm her friend now. And it's a tribalist thing.
Did you see that debate she had with? Did you see that debate she had with Derek Rose? You got to watch that. Derek Rose just tears her apart, and all her fans are in the comments piling on her saying, "What happened to you, Naomi?" And you know what it is? It's that Holocaust indoctrination program that they make those people go through, traumatize them mentally, so they see Nazis under every bridge. And if you don't support Israel 100%, you're an anti-Semite, and you're wrong. Doesn't matter how progressive she is and anything else. She's right about COVID. She was right about everything else. Her book, The 10 Steps to Fascism, fantastic. But when it comes to Israel, a blind spot a mile wide.
Yeah, and that's a shame, because her and I are on the same page on a lot of things, and
I know
it's sad to see, but it's what happens. Rob Schneider's another guy that's been really good on a lot of things, but again, his tribalism kicked in, and he's all gung ho about he's against the jihadis and all this imaginary stuff, the sleeper cells and stuff.
Oh, I know.
Don't exist outside.
The very few rare anti-Zionist Jews like Norman Finkelstein and Keaton Weiss and Russell Douglas and Max Blumenthal and Aaron Motte and Katie Helper. There's lots of them, but they are completely right about everything. And Zionism must be separated from Judaism. But guess which two groups of people want to always conflate them? Far right, real anti-Semites and Zionists themselves want to conflate it, because they want everybody to conflate it, because anti-Semitism pays AIPAC's bills.
They're putting it into state law, in many states now, that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And that's why, when I'm running for Congress, I'm coming right out and saying I'm anti-AIPAC, and, it's, I'm seeing that a lot of these activists are challenging the people that have taken AIPAC money,
Well, I thank God for you, Ellen Corley. I hope it's more like you, because the tide is turning. As Don said, Tucker Carlson's talking about it, Candace Owens is talking about it, and they're getting more and more popular for daring to talk about it. I think
our boy Jimmy Dore is getting really bold. He talks about it a lot.
Absolutely. The fifth rail is no longer the fifth rail.
Mm-hmm. Or the fifth column. I think it's the fifth column is in there, right? Is what it really is. We need to put in laws. Like there was a Gillette amendment saying what the president doesn't get to do PR out of the main office, out of the Oval Office. And I mean, we've got to put back in the Federal Communications Commission, the Fairness Doctrine. They really are controlling the narrative, and it's
Well,
the
it's
U.S.
quite
Agency for Global Media is really replaced the Federal Communications Commission, which is the propaganda mill that it was supposed. There's a law saying it was just supposed to be used on communist countries, and
yeah.
it's all propaganda all the time, infiltrated into our news and everything. We've got
Well, in 2000, it was 2012, the NDAA that Obama signed is when they repealed the Fifth Amendment Act, which makes the government propagandizing the people illegal. They repealed it. Ever since then, that's when all those false flag school shootings started happening, and when the crisis actors started going crazy. Right after that, I mean, it's baked into the thing. What you've got to do is make sure that if APAC has to register as a foreign agent. The FARA, it's because they are representing a foreign country. So obvious.
Billy Ray Valentine is out of the studio. What's going on, BRB?
BRB.
Hey, BRB.
Are you there? He's muted for some reason.
Billy Ray.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to come on. I don't know. But he's muted. But Mark and Joseph, both of you guys, neither one of you all had anything to say for a while. Either one of you have any comments?
I just didn't want to interrupt. I don't want to talk or anything.
Sure.
You mentioned that it's hard to get guests, but it's because you're doing podcasting justice here, because you open it up, dialogue. So big guests, everything is so watered down and scripted and talking points. They do not want to ask they don't want to be asked any questions from the public about real questions.
Well, mind you, the reason I do this, I'm a populist, and I like this I like to interact. So I let's make it the people. More the merrier. And I like to hear from average people. And I don't have. Maybe there's somebody that reads my work that's wealthy. I don't know who they. I don't hear from if they do, but I hear from the people that are not doing well. Usually, that's who I hear from a lot, and people that are struggling and in this rigged economy, and the system works. And those are the people that that's who I'm talking to. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's why I like to have as many people come on as possible.
It does. It's the best. It's genuine conversation. It's general. It's genuine people having real issues, trying to ask questions to people. So I just feel like any politician, fine, I'm in Florida, that SOB, he'll never come on a podcast like this where he has to answer for the bull crap that he's pulling and already ignoring his actual constituents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who is your politician that? Because I think we need to expose them. Those who or investigate and expose opposition research. They probably take track APAC.
I'm nervous to mention the sheriff I have because he's pretty famous.
Grady Judd.
No. It's
okay.
I don't understand. I don't understand Brady Judge because he'll give the press conferences after making an arrest, and I could have sworn it's even at these, I don't care what the people do. Okay, they're scumbags, but you can't be going on a press conference. Can't a lawyer be you're innocent until proven guilty? You can't sway the public like that by giving a press conference saying he murdered or stole all this stuff. Isn't that interference before the person gets any?
Well, my only experience with Grady Judd is that I wrote about him in Bullyocracy because one of the really disturbing cases was a little 12-year-old girl that had been bullied for a couple of years, and she ended up either jumping off a water tower or being pushed off a water tower, maybe being pushed off. And they knew who the two girls were that did it. They knew. It was all documented everywhere. And Grady Judd tried to do something about it, and they blocked him. So I know he's done some things that people don't like, but in that case, that's where I learned.
I like him. I just get nervous for the law side of it, where he will arrest people who deserve to be arrested. But I'm just this is where you kind of cut off the speaking and accusing somebody right now, because let them have a trial and be found guilty. Don't give the attorney an effing out by saying your press conference swayed the public's opinion, so he didn't get a fair trial. But I have Mike Chitwood. I am from Volusia County, Florida. have a business down here. And Chitwood's good. He's the sheriff that marches the kids who do a threatening a school shooting. He'll march them to the police station on the news. I'm a little
Scared straight kind of. Did they ever
yeah.
pass? Did they ever pass? What's the impact of whatever DeSantis did? Because they were trying to pass the anti-Semitism, some kind of law there. What did they
I
actually pass?
believe I believe they did. I believe they did because down here in Florida they have that ridiculous agent provocateur. What the heck's his name? He's all anti-Israel, but he's obviously an actor because he's going into courtrooms shouting and they're not arresting him. It's just like, who can do that? If I went into a courtroom and coughed twice, they'll escort me out. But he's yelling anti-Jewish stuff at people, putting the stuff at the overpass, saying like, "Oh, the rabbis do that brisk thingy." I don't want to get taken off, but like, yeah, instead of just putting the term and being like, "Look it up," someone driving down 95 looks at that and thinks like, "What a crazy guy." But yeah, he was the reason why DeSantis, I believe, he signed a bill in Israel for Florida. He was the first person to do that. He's very, very pro-Israel. That's like, I do not trust DeSantis.
DeSantis is another guy who sounded good on a lot of issues, and but he's just horrible. He's the worst in terms of Israel. And I don't know why that is. The right has been just completely co-opted, and it's really embarrassing. Because a lot of them that were really good on immigration and everything.
Even for Trump to go after him, someone who's so pro-Israel, Trump, to go after someone who's also, it's like, I don't understand. Like, DeSantis kind of had his back in the beginning, so it was weird to see that. But you can't trust him as far as you see him. I had to ask the sheriff.
That's a lot of what Jesse Ventura talked about politics, like professional wrestling today in class, right?
Yeah. No, Jesse was. I don't know what happened to him, because he wrote a blurb for one of my books, and I was on his show when RT television was the only network that would have me on. So I was on his show a couple times. I was on Sean Stone's show a couple times, and he was always very nice to me, but I don't think he probably likes what I'm doing now because I don't know how he feels about Israel. He might be good on that, but
he's good on that. He's good on all that. Jesse's good on all that stuff. COVID is one of the. COVID broke his brain. He went Gene Simmons over COVID.
Yes. And so I think he's open borders. So unfortunately, we probably wouldn't have much to talk about there. And as much as I liked him post being governor of Minnesota, when he was governor, he didn't really do anything, as I remember. He didn't. It was after he got out of office. Then he was the conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura, the show, and everything. But what did he do when he was in office? I don't know.
Another real actor.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you have anything to say? Joseph hadn't talked for a while. Go ahead, Joseph.
Go, Joe.
Hello. I didn't really plan on saying anything beyond my question to Cynthia.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure if you wanted to say something.
No, I appreciate you for coming to me. I did. I thought I'd share something that I had learned recently that I don't know why modern media hasn't picked up on it, especially the pro-Israel lobby. But the Britain is the entity that named that chunk of land Palestine, and they named it after the Roman name that was given to it, called Syria Palestinia. I think I'm not sure, and Palestinia refers to the Philistines from the Bible who were at war with Israel. Now, I'm skipping back ahead to World War I. Britain took that chunk of land after World War I, and they had a temporary but indefinite, it was called a mandate. And anyway, I'm oversimplifying. I'm skipping ahead. Israel, the nation of Israel, was created when they declared independence from Britain via their mandate, right before Britain pulled out. And at that point, it just became a war of survival and getting recognition from the international community. Now I'm going to skip ahead to the 80s, and I didn't realize that the Palestinians had declared independence from Israel in the 80s. The only other note I'd make is that the document itself, the Israeli Declaration of Independence, it's quite a beautiful document. If you look it up, it's got a beautiful tassel going down the side of it. Kind of looks like ours. But just thought I'd share that. I just learned that recently.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Ellen, did you have something to say? Somebody said you look like you were chomping at the bit on the screen. What's going on?
I've got so much about Israel, but I was going to ask you, Don, about when I was on these debates for Congress. I was forcing myself, and I'm like at the stage of open borders because I see what we've done with the Mexican border is so similar to Israel versus Palestine. It seems like we're being gamed, and that's the way the Nazi state of Germany really was focused on closing the borders. So why? I agree with you, like in terms of populism. I've learned a lot from you on that, and with Mark Lane, and actually I've been reading about plausible deniability lately, and coming to appreciate what Mark Lane has really done. But I don't understand why you're closed borders. And
well, it's not. Well, I think no. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, I think first of all, I think if you don't control your borders, you don't have a sovereign nation. I want a sovereign nation because I don't want one world government, which is what they want. If you don't have nations, you have one world government. But the problem is we've let so many in. So we don't know how many millions we've let in, and we don't have the resources because we have people living on the street. We have our own citizens. They've cut welfare benefits back in the 90s. They don't even call it welfare anymore. It's SNAPs, or no, SNAPs is food stamps. All the stuff, the safety net has been cut, so people get less money for a shorter amount of time now. So the benefits aren't there for citizens. We don't have job opportunities. I know so many young people that are trying to get jobs out there. They're not there. And the ones that are there don't pay anything. They don't have any benefits. There are so few opportunities. So the last thing we need is to be importing, whether they come here legally or not, but it's to be importing the poor people that are generally poorer than anyone here. It makes no sense.
The thing is,
you can't do that. You can't
the Mexicans
do that.
Here, ICE is coming here. I think they're dividing us. Like the people in Chicago are really, they're seeing, people that have been here, they're getting attacked. Women and children in schools. I mean, the ICE is the biggest kind of Nazi Stasi dynamic driving, the left here, and the right kind of wants more policing, and the left is like, wait a minute, don't. So I think
I understand
this is orchestrated to divide us. And
the way Trump is doing, I mean, what he's done with ICE and everything is ridiculous. But again, I think it's done on purpose. First of all, his first administration, he did nothing about immigration. He he deported fewer people than Obama.
Well, he wanted to with Steve Miller and Bannon and
they talked about it, but they didn't actually.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what.
And then Obama was doing it, and it's like, I mean, you come to these elections and it's the policies they're just using.
But it's Ellen. It's very simple. All you have to do is do what Position 187 tried to do back in the early 90s in California. It was passed overwhelmingly. And all it was is saying, if you're not here legally, you can't get government benefits.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is in most places. They don't get government benefits.
Oh, no, they do.
No, they do.
They get better benefits than poor citizens.
Yeah.
I heard they don't. Yeah, maybe is that a state-by-state thing, or You
No,
know,
we heard about the five-star hotels, and I don't know how much many of them get free health care, but certainly nobody else gets free health care. If they
I
do,
think
it's just
that's propaganda too. I don't think they
well,
are
it's
getting all the free health care.
maybe I don't know, but the big thing is that the reason they were brought here is for cheap labor. They want to lower everyone's labor, and so what happens is because they're coming from a flood or something out of desperate circumstances, they're happy that they have air conditioning and heat and cable TV and all that. So they've raised their standard of living, but their presence here is lowering our standard of living because all the people that used to people say, who's going to do this work? Well, I
Mhm.
can remember when there was no such thing as Hispanics. Somebody did the yard work, somebody did the landscaping, somebody did roofing. It's just they
Well,
weren't paid, the peanuts to
mhm.
do it. That's the problem.
It's in the interest of the corporations to have the open borders because they always say like the outdoor work, but there's a lot of work for like factory farming and but like
Right.
also the meat houses, the meat industry hires like
Mhm. Yeah, low
all cheap
wage.
labor. They're the ones that break down our chickens. They're the one, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And these were good paying jobs in the smaller, more rural areas, but now they go out and they get illegal people to
Construction
do
work,
it for pennies on the dollar. And then
50,
we give them our government money, our taxes.
yeah,
So it's like,
Well,
50
doesn't
years ago,
work.
construction was a great job. They paid really well. I knew so many guys
Yeah.
that worked it during the summer and I mean, it would have been hard to do it all the time, but now I don't think they pay much at all.
but
Because
is immigration the solution? I think they deliberately want to divide the people. Like there's no independence. They're using policies that they figured out are going to divide Republicans and
course, of
Democrats. And
course, that's why they were doing, and there's a reason. Why do you think you have a language problem? And it's not that Hispanics are coming here and saying we don't want to learn English. They come here and they have set up a system where they don't want them to learn English or they discourage it. So they
yeah,
have all those signs they put up, ballots, automated menus, and all that. Because if they don't speak the same language, then it's easier to cause discord between people. Because it's very frustrating if you can't speak the same language, right? They want that. That's what they want. And I see we're almost at it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As a truck driver, I want to talk to you about the immigration problem vis-a-vis the trucking industry. It's a
Go ahead,
real
real
big
quick.
problem.
We only have a few minutes left, but go ahead.
Okay. So the trucking industry is having a big problem with retaining drivers because it doesn't pay as well as it used to. They keep lowering the pay, lowering the pay. They bring in immigrants. They put them through a 2-week driving school. Then they give them a driver's license. And they're out there trucking, causing accidents and all kinds of mayhem on the road. That's just one problem with immigration. There is a left-wing populist, socialist way to be against open borders and wide open immigration because it bring in cheap labor. It destroys the union movements, and it also destroys the ability of a middle class family a middle class father to take care of his family because now he's competing against people who will work cheaper than him, and corporations are making bank on it. That's the biggest problem. It's always that.
Somebody in the chat that said Americans are too lazy, and Americans may be lazy now, certainly, and they don't want to do the jobs. And that was the slander we heard from the right. I traced it back. Ronald Reagan was the first one to say it. Ronald Reagan was open borders. Again, the right loved him, but he did exactly the opposite, like Trump, of what he said.
yeah.
He's the first one to say that, we get people out there. He basically said Americans won't do these jobs. And they've used that for 40, 50 years. Well, they're too late. And Americans did, if they had nobody else to do them, they did. It's just you had to pay them a certain amount. And that's the whole biscuit. They can bring somebody in and they'll do the work.
And they're being exploited because they're not being paid an honest wage, and they're easier to exploit, and they won't quit their jobs if you exploit them and treat them like shit because that's the only money they can get, and they're sending half their wage back home to their families. It's a horrible system, and it has to be fixed.
Well,
It's a Walmart system.
But how do they fix it? And to me, it's a problem reaction solution thing, like David talks about that the real rulers are using. They stir up things in South America and Central America, and
Absolutely.
Stick people over here, and then use the media to divide us. And I think
You're hearing what you're hearing from me is something you don't hear anybody else, and that's I'm coming because I came from the left. I'm like Cynthia in the beginning. I'm so far left that I go far right sometimes, but
me too.
that you don't hear anybody because I'm telling you, this is somebody talked about. It destroyed unions. It wasn't just immigration, but that was immigration gave them an excuse. They hated the fact that for 30, 40 years they had to pay a living wage. They paid a living wage to everybody. And unions had a lot to do with that. They hated that.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to get rid of unions are incompatible with immigration. And just about the time all this, you just saw the unions are gone now, except for professional sports leagues, maybe, and nurses, teachers. Other than that, they're
corruption of the AFL-CIO and the management of, my stepfather was with this Manhattan Institute that really orchestrated policies that always benefited the rich. And so, that was the idea, and to create publications that say there's no such things as racial profiling, because they knew that would divide. Some people want more police and some people want to fund the police. Right. It depends on where you live and what the city, and they end up separating kind of the men, and from the women and the left. And that's
they always have on the guards. Let's be honest.
No, it is definitely that. But we're just about out of time because I want to and I guess everybody else around the horn one more chance. Mark or Joseph, you have any closing
Happy
thoughts?
St. Patrick's Day to you, Don.
Don, you can hear me?
I said Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you for this. But BRV's got his mic on. What's going on, BRV? I tried to bring you in earlier.
Yeah, I was just checking in to see if the show was going okay. That's why I popped in the first time. I didn't mean to be on, but since we were talking about the immigration issue, there's a little bit of false information going around that illegal aliens or undocumented people are receiving benefits. They're largely ineligible to receive benefits. There are certain states that make exceptions on an emergency basis, things like that. But largely, they are not eligible to receive government benefits. They are not eligible to receive Medicaid. They are not eligible to receive SNAP. It's just not a thing. So, like, when we talk about, they're using them for cheap labor and they won't quit their jobs because, they got nothing else, but they're getting this check from the government. Which is it? We have to we have to come to terms with the facts of the matter here. So
it's the first one, Billy Ray. They're being exploited.
Yes, of course they're getting exploited, and that's a different issue altogether. But as far as and I'm with Don as far as the open borders go. Like I don't think borders should be open, but that does not mean that we don't have place and we do not need immigrants in the country either, right? We need a better vetting process for this sort of stuff. I agree 100%. We can't just let people in here the way Biden was doing, right?
But you did hear Trump, Billy Ray. He's all for 60,000 Chinese students coming over here, taking away. That's unbelievable.
That's what I would tie immigration to what kind of wages are being paid. And if they're going to continue to pay the wages they're paying, no, because we already have too much. But there's no opportunities out there for young people as it is, and you don't need people. It's ridiculous. But that's the problem is until they start paying every worker enough. There's one of the good things Bernie Sanders said is that nobody should be a full-time worker in this country and not be able to live on his own.
Sounds like socialism to me, Don, and I'm down with it, brother. I'm not even knocking you.
I think we should have an exchange system with China. If they send 60,000 students over here, we should be allowed to send 60,000 Americans over there.
Of course. Well, one more thing, and then I'll release it to everybody else. To say that we don't have resources here is also an issue for me. Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon spend $92 billion in a month.
Yep.
in a
Exactly.
month. You understand? Like, so
They tell you
$1
that
million a day, right?
you know,
It's a
so
war.
they talk about, you know, they can't pay off.
they could, of course, but they won't.
They talk about they can't pay off school wages. They talk about they don't have enough money for Medicare. They don't have enough. That's all nonsense. There's more resources here than anything else. It's just they don't want to give it to us, and then they come up with
Well, they
with
had the
all
priorities are
this.
screwed up.
They come up with all the propaganda,
war.
this John Birch Society style propaganda to get us divided. I'm with Ellen 100% on most of this,
Right.
Mhm.
but I'll
One
release
thing-
it.
Don,
Billy Ray
I know we
Raybo
gotta-
has said, "I don't have any balls if I don't put up the chat replay." How do I put up the chat replay? I'd love
Who
to
said
do
who
that. I
said
don't
that?
mind.
Raybo?
Raybo told me I have no balls if I don't put up the. If I don't have any.
I think
balls,
I think it
if I
should
don't
be
put up
there
the chat replay.
automatically. Well, it's not anything we're doing on purpose. I'll check
Yeah,
backstage
I
and
wouldn't know how to
I'll
do
check
that,
the settings.
Raybo. I don't.
Don,
Yeah.
can I say
Don
one issue?
Don has nothing but balls. He's good on balls. Don't worry about it.
He's got
the
big
only one.
cojones.
Only one.
Let me throw one issue that's related to immigration is this passport, the ID. And I've learned listening to Don, I'm just hearing the radio, I'm listening to progressive radio. The issue is that they're going to require every person to have a passport and an ID with them.
Yeah.
And it costs $180 to get a passport. And so it's going to deliberately hurt poor people, women, you know, I mean, the illegals are not voting if you don't have a passport. So why put in these extra rules? It's going to hurt Democrats and people and benefit
So you can be
1%.
so you Ellen, so you can be tracked and traced, and they eventually wanted to make it digital ID, and with surveillance cameras on every corner tracking your every movement.
That's what they want. We're gonna have to run it.
Okay.
And last word, Ellen. Anything going? Any link or anything? And then RB, and then Mark.
I'm glad we agree on this. You know, the left and the right, we need to have the independent. There 40% of people were independent and they wanted us divided. We've got to
I'm a
figure out.
populist. I'm for the people. I'm against
Yeah.
too much power anywhere. So I'm neither left or right. I'm far left on some and I'm far right on others. Populism is power to the people. I believe in the people.
Yeah.
The people should rule. And
And bring Cynthia McKinney here and let's all do it
Yes.
every week. You know, have a regular.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm going to definitely say. But is there anybody anything you want? Any link or anything for you? Your campaign or anything?
Oh, thank you. Illinois, ELLENOIS.net. Right. And I'm going to run again, you know, but yeah, I didn't take any money and I haven't hardly spent any money because
I wish you luck. If I was in Illinois, I would vote for you. If I would, if I could. But
thank you, Don.
We definitely wish you luck. RB, last closing thoughts.
Okay, if you want to, this Saturday night, Don Jeffries and Salim Mansour are going to be on my show this Saturday night. It's RB Ham, Beyond the Pale on Rumble. I'm also on X, and you can find me on Facebook too. I'm trying to get on YouTube, but I'm having all kinds of technical issues getting my broadcast up on YouTube. But hopefully I will get some brainiac to help me with that. And next Saturday, I'm going to be having Keaton Weiss and Sabrina Salvati, Sabi Sab. She's going to be on my show the following Saturday.
Cool.
So, yeah. And I know now for sure that one day Cynthia is going to be on too. That'd be a great time to have both you have you on with Cynthia and bring on Salim Mansour to dazzle Cynthia with his knowledge. That would be an awesome show. So yeah, just follow me there. And if you want to support me, go to www.GiveSendGo/RBHam in capital letters and help me out because I'm barely making ends meet and I'm fighting the good fight and I have been for 25, 30 years and I'm not going to stop now because all the way in.
RB. Go, a hero from the great wide north. Thanks, RB. Appreciate it. Mark, any last words? Any link or anything for you?
No, just wanted to thank you, and just wanted to correct one thing earlier when everyone was talking about the COVID operation that they thought. I thought that it was called Operation Lockstep. That had to do.
That
with
was
COVID.
2000. That was 2010. The Rockefeller Institute Operation Lockstep. We were talking about Event 201 in October 2019.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. That was it. Just wanted to thank you, Don.
Mr. Pilson says Timothy Kelly. I need to have I'm going to be on Timothy Kelly's show this Wednesday. I think
Yes.
Right on.
8 p.m. Eastern, so I'll be
Yes.
back on Tim Kelly. So I'm on there quite a bit with him. So that's cool. We'll be talking. So thanks everybody. Really appreciate it. The great Cynthia McKinney
Thank
is
you.
here. All the participation from the audience. So we'll see you Friday. I don't know who my guest is yet, but the usual time, 8 p.m. Thanks everybody for listening. I protest.
Thanks so much, Don.
Take care. Thanks.
Peace out.